The story of Schofields is something more than the history of a department store. It's the story of the realisation of an ideal. It was an ideal which started in 1901 when Snowden Schofield came to Leeds in search of shop premises. This was a Leeds vastly different to the modern city of today. Land's Lane was little wider than a cart track. Half a dozen oysters and a pint of stout was a shilling, while threepence would buy you a plate of sausage and mash and a pint of beer to wash it down with was only twopence. Through a business friend, Mr. Schofield heard of a site available in an unfashionable shopping area known as Upper Head Row. He saw it and obtained the lease offered at £50 a year. And on Saturday, May the 4th, he realised the first stage of his ambition. With 3 staff, he opened the shop, and at the end of the day his takings were £64, 43 of which was in gold. It was the heyday of fancy drapery, a time for new ideas in shopkeeping, and Snowden was full of them. Beneath such adverts as Mr. Lipton's famous beverage at 1 9 a pound could regularly be seen the latest creation for Ma'am or Miss. Schofields gave good service and value from the start. In fact, the slogan that Selfridges later used, "The customer is always right," expressed the attitude perfectly, with the result that by 1910 there were no less than 6 shops, and Schofield was becoming a household word. In 1911, Mr. Schofield acquired the old Red Hall on the corner of Guildford Street and King Charles Street. Built as a town mansion in 1628, it was the first red brick house in Leeds, hence its name. In 1647 it was used to hold Charles I captive during his return to London, where he was later executed. Oak wall panelling and original plaster ceilings were carefully restored. The vast stone fireplace, found hidden behind a Victorian one, had been reconstructed exactly as it was known to Charles I. Here then, amid luxurious appointments of an old English mansion, shoppers could rest between purchases in the store, with a background of music from the cafe orchestra known as the All-Star Versatiles, and described as a quintet of musicians with a varied repertoire. In the early years, the business was confined entirely to fancy drapery and millinery, but by 1922, coinciding with the 21st birthday celebrations and its attendant publicity, Schofield's shop was completing its transition to Schofield's store by demolishing connecting walls which increased the floor area to 43,000 square feet, providing sweeping views of departments. Between 1927 and 1930, 3 more shops were acquired. Leeds itself was changing rapidly, and Schofield's frontage in Guildford Street would shortly have a new address known as the Head Row. In 1931, Snowden acquired a rear yard, enabling an extension to be built in King Charles Croft. In 1934, the Hippodrome was taken over, with its dressing rooms and memories of Vesta Tilley, Dan Leno and the Great MacDermott. Crowded staff facilities, which only a few years ago were ample, were now able to spread a little. The Cock and Bottle was purchased in 1938, which then meant that the whole block could have an imposing new frontage, but it was not to be. Hitler and government building controls put an end to that idea. Then on March the 24th, 1949, the blow fell. Snowden Schofield died, and another 8 years of dust were to settle on those plans. The Theatre Royal in Land's Lane was purchased in 1957, and 18 months later, on November the 11th, 1958, the Furnishing Centre was born. Stage 1 of the Head Row site demolition scheme began in 1959. This was the Victoria Arcade and Land's Lane section up the Head Row as far as the Cock and Bottle. The second stage was the rest of the frontage and down King Charles Street. By 1961 the front arcade and stage 3 was well underway, whilst 3 package escalators were being fitted into the new building. In spite of excavations 13 feet into solid rock, the builders were able to hand over the ground floor for Christmas trading 1961. The complete frontage and tower block as we see it today was finally completed on June the 30th, 1962. With new leadership, further building and alterations have taken place in the ensuing years, but that's another story. The store has been built upon customer satisfaction, and whatever outward changes to come in the years ahead, this policy will remain.